Are we recording?
We are recording.
Oh, we are.
So, here's what's funny, babe. You know, since we moved to Panama, people have really been asking us a bunch of questions as to, why do we do this and why do we do that? So, one of the things that we want to do today is we want to slow all the way down and just have a conversation around who we are, what we do, why we do it, and who we do it for.
And I also want to address a few questions. Yeah, we're going to address a couple of questions.
I think it's getting ready to get a little saucy because...
It's not going to get saucy. It's just...
Some of y'all been asking some real direct questions in the comments.
Some clarity on some things.
Some what, babe?
Some clarity.
How they say it in D.C.?
Clarity. I just want to give y'all some clarity on some things.
Listen.
Because it is never our intention to offend or...
be disrespectful.
Be disrespectful. We're just being us.
We're just being us.
And I hope you love us. Hope you like us.
But if you don't, it is who we are.
Yes.
Coming up next, Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. Stay tuned. Well, we want to welcome you guys back to another edition of Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a relationship coach. And this lovely, light-skinned young lady, she's actually a little bit more bronzed today.
You started already. So I am Cherie A. Brooks Jr. And actually, that's going to be, we're going to start off with that. We're going to address that. But today we are talking about today's title is You Asked, We Answered. Panama Facts with the Brooks. So many of you have been asking us questions in the comments. You've been DMing us on social media and asking, sharing your opinions, your views on certain things, as well as asking us questions. And so first we want to start off, kind of, Glenn, if you can share with people who we are, what we do, why we do it, why do we do Behind Closed Doors with the Brooks?
Well, I think that, and just really quickly, for those that don't know, Cherie and I have been married for 25 years in a row. We both were married prior to each other. I was married for 12 years, and Cherie was married twice.
Before.
We have children in those marriages. We do not have children together. We have 3 grandchildren. Our oldest is married with 3 daughters, and our youngest is 31, and he is absolutely focused. So I just said all that to say that's who we are as people. As a result of what we went through in our previous marriages, Cherie and I majored on screwing up relationships. We can promise you we got PhDs on how to jack up a marriage.
Right.
And so when I say who we are, when we say we're relationship coaches, at our DNA level, Cherie and I care more about building relationships and community and showing people how we did things differently than anything else. It led to us writing books. We have written 9 books between the two of us. And they all center around those subject matters on marriage and parenting and all those kinds of things. We have a few business books and stuff like that. What do? We run a relationship academy. It's called MAPS, Marriages and Parenting Successfully. And years ago when we started that, and I'm getting to your question, why do we do Behind Closed Doors? We started a online, and there's still some videos up. We did 100 episodes of a show that we called
Breakfast with the Brooks.
Breakfast with the Brookses. And yeah, with the Brookses. And I think the thing that we realized then is that people really wanted to know how were we able to succeed in our marriage the way we were. At that time, we had created the MAPS Relationship Academy, and so people who tuned in on Saturday mornings for Breakfast with the Brookses, many of them wind up joining that community. We are relationship people to our core, and so when we started this Behind Closed Doors, it's been our long time goal to get back to doing a podcast that just sort of highlighted us and our lives. And now that our lives have taken a drastic change, we live abroad, we live in Panama, people have really been inquiring about that part of our life. And so we wanted to come to the microphones today and kind of give you guys some insight as to who we are and why we show up. Behind Closed Doors is really designed to give you a behind closed doors look into our marriage, into how we parent, how we build, our relocation journey. You know, we've been here a year. We're going to be doing some stuff, and we want you guys to come along for the ride.
Right. And as Glenn is sharing, you know, who we are, you know, and he gave kind of the 5-minute version of who we are. But there are a couple things, key things that I wanted to point out when it comes to who we are. Like Glenn said, he had been married once before. I've been married twice before. We have an amazing co-parenting relationship with his ex-wife, who's the mother of our son. I did not have that type of relationship with my daughter's father. And so I learned how to have that relationship once we got married. We also were in ministry for a number of years. Glenn was an associate pastor. He was a youth pastor. So we have a background in ministry as well. And we talk about co-parenting a lot because that's been a major part of our life for the past 25 years. But also, I also share about my struggles with depression and anxiety. That's something that I've struggled with most of my life. And so we have a broad array of things, I guess, that we can talk about. And here on this channel, we really wanted to talk about the day-to-day, the things that we deal with, not just us being here in Panama, but how with us transitioning here, and we're going to get into some of the questions in a minute, how that has impacted our relationship, how it's impacted our relationship with our children, with the rest of our family, and the new relationships that we're building here. And we also wanted to encourage people to come and discover Panama. Panama was one of those places that, you know, nobody talked about. The only thing people knew about Panama was the Panama Canal. And we have found truly a gem here. And so that's something that we share talking about here on the channel as well.
What people don't know, if we had to bring you behind closed doors, Panama, the city, saved my wife's mental state. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to sound too dramatic, but the pandemic did a number on her. It did a number on all of us. But Cherie, because of her anxiety and her, you know, bouts of depression, most of her adult life, she really took things differently. And I had a chance to be up close and personal and watch this journey. And it highlighted some things that I knew, but it also presented an opportunity for us to do something about it that probably would be permanent. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that Panama presented was a haven,
yes,
or a place of peace.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons we so excited all the time to show you guys what living liberated looks like. And so if I can really quickly, that's where we came up with what does it look like to come taste and see that living liberated is good.
Yes.
And it was from the standpoint that for the first time in her adult life, she's experiencing a level of peace that in 25 years I've not seen. Not right. Like this. Mm-hmm. It's really wild. Right. So I think that kind of sets up why we're always passionate about talking about our life here. And it's not because we make our money helping people relocate. That right. is not what we do. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. But what we do is we help build relationships. What we do is we work with an online community week in and week out, and we have for more than 7.5 years now, and helping them build principles and a toolkit that allows them to fight and win in their relationship, both with couples in terms of, you know, marriages, but also in your parenting.
Right. And so I want to go to one of the questions, but I want to kind of set this up before we go to the question first. So for me, it's going to share, you know, I've struggled with depression and anxiety most of my life, which also affected my self-esteem. So prior to the pandemic, a number of years before that, I had been hospitalized for my depression. But during the pandemic, my anxiety got really, really bad. And one of the tools that I had to put in place was self-care. I had to learn to put myself first. One thing, oftentimes, individuals that are dealing with depression, is that we have to learn to love ourselves. We have to learn, especially as women, we have the tendency to always take care of everybody else and do for everybody else, and we put ourselves on the back burner. And I had to learn to love myself. I had to learn how to prioritize myself and how to really walk in self-care. Part of that self-care in my learning to love myself was in loving all of me, everything about me. And so one of the questions that we've been asked on numerous occasions, people have asked, why does Glenn introduce me as the lovely light-skinned Cherie A. Brooks Jr.? I refer to myself as the lovely light-skinned Cherie A. Brooks Jr. because I had to learn to love me. Growing up in D.C. and PG County in the late 70s, early 80s, it was not always cool being the shade that I was. It wasn't necessarily just my color. It was, I was thin, I was skinny, I was like olive oil. So I had really low self-esteem about everything about my appearance, from my hair to my body shape to my skin tone. As I learned to love myself, I love my skin tone. I love the fact that I'm actually golden. We say lovely light skin, but I have like this golden caramel tone to my skin.
I'm ready. I'm ready to sing.
That's okay.
Living my life like it's golden.
Right, that I absolutely love. So I apologize to anyone that has been offended by him referring to me as light skin or me referring to me as light skin. But for me, that is a way of affirming myself and reminding myself that I am the lovely, light-skinned, golden, whatever I want to choose to call myself. It's part of my self-care. It's part of my loving on myself. But I think that we all have to learn how to embrace ourselves, every aspect of ourselves, and we have to learn to love ourselves and encourage ourselves. And I don't think that there's anything wrong. I know, like for you, Glenn, you grew up the same era, and being dark-skinned was not popular either, depending on where you were. And so that was something that you had to learn to embrace. You're my chocolate drop, and I love that about
Absolutely.
you. But you had to learn to love that until you learn to truly embrace that and love yourself. So whatever skin tone you are, whatever body shape you are, whatever makes you uniquely you have to learn to love that and embrace that first and foremost. And I just want to encourage those of you that, may struggle in that area, that may have questions about that you understand that is about self-love. It's not meant to offend anybody. This is not about colorism or anything like that. We're not saying it in any way to demean anybody else. We're not saying one is better than the other. It's simply a way for me to love on myself, and my husband has embraced that. And so when he calls me the lovely light skin, know that there are little butterflies that go off in my heart when he says that, because it encourages me, and it is his way of telling me that I'm beautiful.
Listen, let me say this, and I am a jokester. I love to have fun. Anybody that knows me knows that I am incredibly passionate about everything. As a kid, I always walked into the room mouth first. As a kid, I was the super extrovert that, we could be just moving to a neighborhood and I would all of a sudden have 14 friends that I'd be wanting to stay for pizza and for dinner, of which I never told my mother about until it was actually going down. I was always that guy. And so a lot of times you guys will hear me joke with her a lot. And so what we're doing is we're endeavoring to bring you guys into our world. Let me just stop and say this. Our YouTube channel has grown exponentially since we've moved to Panama.
Yes.
And we realize that there is a group of people who are coming along for the ride and experiencing our journey as we are. And I want you guys to kind of get some insight as to who you dealing. Like, this ain't just people who decide to do a thing and show up and show their lifestyle for the sake of bragging or whatever, but it's about encouraging people. If you know anything about us, you know that we have been building communities for the 25 years we've been married.
Right. And I think it's funny that you mentioned that. One thing that, we're extremely transparent, and I do not have a problem with putting, I feel like this, we grew up in a church environment that taught us that, all of my trials, everything that I've been through, it was not for me, it was for somebody else, for the benefit of somebody else. And so I don't have a problem sharing anything that I'm going through. That's why I talk about my depression openly. I talk about my struggles openly. I don't have a problem with that. it's not to sensationalize it. It's not to make anyone feel less than. It's to really to encourage people that you're not the only one. And I think that that's one thing I know for myself growing up with depression. Like I said, most of my adult life, I've dealt with depression, particularly after me getting out the military. I never had anybody I could talk to. I never had anybody that I could relate to, that I could share what I was going through without them looking at me like I had three heads. You go through stuff, but that does not define who you are.
And this goes to a question or a comment that we've gotten. There was a video that we did about 12 weeks into us living here. Mm-hmm. And Cherie and I, we were, I think YouTube had just allowed us to go live on a mobile device at the time. But what I realized is that as a person who is a talker, as a person who is an extreme extrovert, as a person who is super passionate, always seeing something funny in something, I've never been a person that's been a loss for words. When I met my wife 25 years ago, she did not talk at all. No. At all. And when I say at all, I mean hardly at all, and only to a select group of people. And over the last 25 years, Cherie has grown exponentially in her communication skills, largely due to the things that we teach couples. She's a product, I believe, I think I can honestly say, of what we teach other people in terms of developing skills and all that sort of stuff. So it's funny, the older we get as a couple, the more you're coming into your own in a lot of ways. Yes. Would that be accurate?
Yes, I definitely found my voice since us being married. So anybody that knew me pre-25 years ago probably knows I'm not a talker. You could not have paid me to publicly speak to anybody about anything. Now, I was always the friend that people would come to when they had their issues. I could give you advice, but if you wanted me to get up in front, I remember I think it was middle school, I was in the band and had a solo and I ran off the stage. So I have never been that forefront person. I've never been the person that wanted to public speak. I remember when I was in school, I went to school later to get my degree, and I had this public speaking class. Oh my God, it was horrific. And I had to do these assignments just recording videos of me speaking in front of the family. And it was my daughter, my son-in-law, my brother, and my husband, and those videos are atrocious if those ever get leaked. Oh gosh. But it was atrocious because I truly had stage fright. I was fearful of speaking in front of people. And so I have grown tremendously where I'm able to speak now, I'm able to speak freely, which goes to the comment or the question that's been asked oftentimes is that Glenn talks over me or he doesn't.
Cuts you off.
He cuts me off. So there are a couple things I want to address.
Like I just did just now.
Well, I don't.
Like you was just talking.
I don't consider.
And
then
I just cut you off.
I don't consider
because I was giving you the word.
It's okay.
And
it's okay. It's okay. So a couple things contribute to that. Number one, because he knows that I'm still growing in this area. Also, because of my anxiety, oftentimes, I guess I have a tic. I don't know what the technical term is called, but I'll get stuck. My thoughts get stuck and my words don't come out. And so when we're recording, it's very awkward if I just get stuck and he just leaves me there and then I get my thought. So he covers me by jumping in. Now, yes, there are times when he does, I'm talking and he has a thought and he'll jump in and say it, but I do the same thing. Y'all just don't see it usually on video. And, in our everyday life, I do that all the time.
Oh my gosh.
So, but it's not, I don't get offended by it. I don't get bothered by it. And when I do, I say something. I'm like, okay, well, let me finish saying what I'm saying. And it's not, and this is the thing too. And I think for us, there's a level of maturity that we've grown to in our communication that even when he does that, I can say, hey, give me a second, let me finish saying what I'm saying, and there's no attitude. I'm not bothered, he's not bothered, ain't nobody upset. It's just the flow of thing because Glenn is the talker. Glenn does, temperament tests, and he is a flamingo. He is a high, what is that? High I, which is the high D. He's the life of the party. He's the one that's going to walk in the room with his mouth first. That's just who he is. That's who he's been all his life. I was the wallflower. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch. I'm going to observe. I speak when I'm like E.F. Hutton. When I say something, it's going to be of substance. I don't just talk just to be talking. And so I've learned to have more conversation. I've learned to share the things on my heart. Like he said, I found my voice in my latter years, and I'm able to share. And I realize I do have a lot to say, but it's still intentional. I don't just talk to be talking. And so I appreciate those of you that were fighting for me. And like, Glenn, leave her alone. Let her talk. But it's okay, because he's actually doing that. A lot of times he's doing it to cover for me. And other times it's just, he just gets excited and he's just going, but I don't get bothered by it. And so don't beat him up for it. He's not doing it intentionally. And he's a lot better. He's a lot better. If you go back and look at some of our earlier videos, especially on the Breakfast with the Brooks videos, it was a lot more of that, because also I was not speaking up. And so he had to cover me way more. And I would just ramble, which I'm rambling now.
See, and that's the other thing. Let me just digress for a second. So the other thing is, you guys got to understand that, and Cherie is right, she has grown immensely. And I don't think that people know that. And because they don't know that, there's an assumption that I'm controlling what she's saying. I forgot about the fact that you're right. Remember that time when we had our very first public speaking engagement?
Oh, gosh. When I say horrible people, I mean horrible. I mean, there was a point during the presentation, Glenn is talking. I'm on stage with him. I'm standing beside him, and I'm literally like this as he's talking. I have nothing to say.
Listen.
And so I've come a long way. So I'm giving myself a pat on the back.
Listen.
And so even when we talk about the fact that, when he talks about, how we used to have to structure, our talks, now I can just flow.
The other thing is that sometimes I'm watching the clock. I know exactly how much time we got. I know what we want, where we want to get out, and how we want to dovetail. And so sometimes if Cherie is caught up in the moment, I can't get her attention. And so it's like, bro, I need to jump in right here. And I'm trying to do that being respectful of you and the audience at the same time. So it can come like I'm stepping on our toes. And again, that is not the intention. We apologize if any of you guys have taken it that way. I want to transition really quickly, babe, because we are coming up on time. I like to keep these, somewhere around 30 minutes if we can. And one thing I do want to talk about real quick is something that we're not. So a lot of you guys get the impression, because we live in Panama and we're constantly talking about the subjects of being here in the city, there's a purpose for that. And I want to make sure that you guys are clear on what that purpose is. And so I'm going to say this out loud. Cherie and I, when we talk about who we are, what we do, why we do it, and who we do it for, we are a couple who is highly communicative, a couple who is very transparent and is very sensitive towards people needs in terms of growing their relationships. What do? We create environments for people to come into and to be able to share what it is that they feel, particularly when it comes to parenting and when it comes to building relationships. We have a company that facilitates online group coaching called the MAPS Relationship Academy. It's one of our products, one of our services that allows you to grow from a personal development standpoint. There's many other things. So we'll say, who are we? What do we do? Why do we do it? The reason why is because we didn't have anyone in our lives that were committed to us like we are committed to many people. Truth is that Cherie and I have taken it personal that because of our ignorance, we have lost in relationships. Mm-hmm. And so we don't ever want people to walk away ignorant of something and not able to have the tools. And then who do we do it for? We do it for people who want to do work. We do it for people who want to get in, roll their sleeves up, and really do the work on growing in their relationship. Those kinds of people are generally people who are, they value their relationship. They are vested in their relationship. And quite frankly, they're looking for victory on this side of heaven. They're not waiting to win after a relationship has dissolved. And that's why we launched Taste and See kind of thought process. And Cherie is going to talk to you guys a little bit about that.
Right. And so the other thing when it comes to who we are people who enjoy creating experiences for people. I am a planner by nature. We will be having our 4th annual couples experience fifth? Yeah. Is it the fifth? Fifth annual? Yeah, it is the fifth annual couples experience in February 2025. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. But I also wanted to be able to create experiences for people to be able to come to Panama, to experience Panama in a very customized, custom curated way, so that you can come see what it is that you're interested in. You can get, your needs met when you come. Now, one thing, as Glenn was sharing, what we are not, that is what we are. That is who we are. What we are not is we are not relocation specialists. And what I mean by that, there are individuals that specialize in helping individuals with relocating here to Panama or to other countries. They help you with the legalities, the logistics. I was trying to say logistics and legal at the same time.
I purposely, as an effort of growth,
didn't interrupt me, and I appreciate you.
Not interrupt you so that you can find your work.
I appreciate it.
And you did a good job.
Thank you.
I love it, Beth.
That help you with the logistics legally, help you with finding out as far as immigration, that help you with those things. And one other thing that we are is we are connectors. One thing that we have done over the course of our past 25 years, we have built networks with people in different industries for different purposes. And since we've been here in Panama, we have built a network of whether it's tour guides, whether it's transportation specialists, whether it is relocation specialists. I have connections at various hotels here. And I have done the legwork by being here in Panama. We've done we're boots on the ground. And so unlike you could schedule you an excursion or a trip to come to Panama with your travel agent in the States, but the advantage that we offer is that we're actually here.
So when we say we're here, we live here.
Right. And so one thing that I really want to encourage people is you click the link, and I think it'll be up here. Go ahead, answer the few questions, and you're going to get our free Ultimate Panama Travel Guide. It's a free guide that you'll get. I just want you click the link, answer a few questions so we can know what your interests are in coming here to Panama. And then if necessary, I can schedule a call with you. I can send you information and connect you with, if it is a relocation specialist that you need to get in contact with, or if you just simply want to find out more information, if you're just researching Panama, this guide will provide you some general information to help you on that journey. My goal ultimately with the Taste and See experience is to expose people to something different. I think oftentimes we get stuck in our normal rut, in our normal routine, and we don't take the time to really explore and do things different. One of the things that Glenn and I have practiced over our past 25 years is always having new experiences. As a married couple in particular, I think you can get caught up in the rut of day-to-day life. And if you are not intentional in investing in your relationship and creating new experiences so that you have memories. And that's what I want. Taste and See is about making memories. It's about helping you to make unique memories, having a unique experience when you come to Panama. We may eventually go outside of Panama with these, but right now we're focusing on Panama. But we'd like to help you curate that experience, like I said, because we are boots on the ground, and Glenn said it, oftentimes you look at things online, the pictures aren't always the same. Also, one thing that I can say about Panama in particular, just because you see something online, you've looked at this thing, when you get here, doesn't mean it's still here. Doesn't mean it's still open. The pictures at a hotel may have been from 10 years ago when they did a renovation. It's not renovated anymore. And so with us being here, if I need to go and view the venue, I can. The venues that I do recommend to people are venues that I've actually been to and seen recently. I do checks on those recently to make sure that it is what it appears to be. And we connect you, particularly for those of you coming from the U.S. or coming from English-speaking countries. One of the biggest advantages I can say that we offer is that our providers are all English speakers, whether they're bilingual. Many of them are bilingual. They speak Spanish and English, but they speak English. So that's going to help you to be able to feel comfortable when you come here to Panama. You can get away with not knowing Spanish, but it's a much easier experience if you have someone who's bilingual that can translate for you, especially when you go shopping, you go do different things. Having a translator with you that actually speaks English and Spanish is going to be beneficial.
Babe, let me jump in here real quick. I want to back up just a little bit. When Cherie talks about our expertise is that, we're boots on the ground, please understand that there have been times where we've had friends call us up and say, hey, would you recommend a hotel? What do you think about this hotel versus that hotel? And just so that you guys are clear, since living here, Cherie and I have had well over 50 people come visit because we're here. Mm-hmm. This is outside of the almost 50 people that were at our wedding vow renewal back in February. So I want to let you guys know that people, because of our connections with people abroad in terms of just years of building relationships, they see that we're here and they're like, yo, I thought about it, but I've never known anybody there. So now I think I'll come. So as a result, they'll call and ask, or they'll text me, or they'll DM me. We're trying to streamline these kinds of processes because we're known to take a ride over to a place. Right. If this is a restaurant you're looking into, or if this is a hotel, do me a favor, give me a few minutes. I'll make a run over there tomorrow and I'll get back to you. That's the kind of services that we've provided. And in most cases, like Cherie said earlier, we're not going to recommend places that we've not been to. Right. And if we've not been to them, trust me, because we're boots on the ground, we can sneak by and see if it's the vibe you really talking about. And those are the kinds of things that we can do for you. We're going to have to get out of here, babe. We really are. I wanted you to finish out, though, about the idea of where can people, find out more information. Where would it be appropriate for them to be able to show up, and how does that stuff work?
Right. So you can go to our bio. In the description of the video, there are links for Taste and See Panama, or you can, like I said, click the link above to complete the form. It's like 5 questions just to give us some ideas of what you're interested in. You'll get the free Ultimate Panama Travel Guide, and from there, if you're still interested, we can schedule a session so that I can sit down and meet with you, find out specifically what it is that you're interested in doing. I work with several travel partners that I work with. I'm not a travel agent, but we've partnered with several travel agents that can help get you the best deals on lodging. They can even help you with your airfare if you need it. I have the connections here for excursions, for anything that you want to do, so you can get the best price, so that you can get the best service above everything. You're going to get somebody that's going to truly take care of you from the time that you get here to the time that you leave, and they're going to hold your hand and walk with you as you come here to Panama. And my biggest hope is that you get to experience a little bit of this peace that I've found here. Panama is a beautiful country, from the cityscape. We live in the city, to the mountains, to the beaches. You have it all here. The weather is amazing all year long, and I want you to come taste and see Panama.
Yeah, even in rainy season, and I don't shrink back from it. Panama basically has 2 seasons: rainy season and dry season. But in rainy season, if you are familiar with like Miami, where it'll rain, or even in Hawaii for that matter, many Caribbean countries are like this, where it'll downpour, but it'll dry right back up. One thing I will add, and I know where you're going with this, unlike our Caribbean friends and neighbors, Panama does not have hurricanes.
Nada.
I'm going to repeat. Unlike our Caribbean neighbors, Panama does not have hurricanes. So there's no such thing as, well, is there hurricane season or is there a monsoon season? No, this is not the South Pacific.
Nope.
And I promise you, you don't have them problems here. There are other challenges, but those are not it. And we are more than happy to kind of, jump on a call or whatever. Just check out the links in the description below and click and just get that information. It's the most important thing is to reach out and let us know what you're trying to do, because the last thing I will say is that you work really hard for the money that you spend. Mm-hmm. The last thing you need to do is to spend it against bad. Anybody ever hear that term? Throwing good money after bad. Right. Like, bruh, we are not interested in watching people do that. That's painful, and quite frankly, it's not necessary. And so, give us a buzz, reach out, connect with us, let us put something together for you. And if you need a relocation specialist, we know them well. We have people that we've worked with personally. We have people that we've met since we've been here. We have a thriving couples night out community, a couples game night community that's made up, and it's specifically being groomed with networking in mind. So these people do things, some of them are expats, some of them are locals, that you might need their services, and we know them personally. So it's not a thing where, you're going to get the runaround. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. We went a little long today because I just wanted to have something out here that kind of gives you a background as to who we are, what we do, why we do it, and who we do it for. Because at the end of the day, I honestly believe you cannot get to any place of significance by yourself. Because we all need
some help.
Some help. I need somebody help. Not just anybody. Y'all be good, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye, guys.